Hi, my name is Nadia, and I help people get out of their minds to be able to live in the present moment. Today, we're going to talk about 3 relationship book recommendations. The topic about relationships these days is a super tense one because of social media access. Back in the days, it used to be Tony Robbins and John Gray, listening to them on cassettes. If you don't know this author, he wrote the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and actually reading physical books for relationship advice. Now we kind of just listen to a bunch of people sitting around a table kind of complaining about what's going on these days. So I totally get that this is such a controversial topic, but I'm just recommending these top 3 books as I found them super helpful, and many of the people who rated these books 5 stars as well thought it was pretty useful. So I thought maybe I could extend the knowledge, extend the wisdom from people who are actually counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists and all that wonderful stuff to you, not just people who are sitting around a mic with just advice from what they've learned in their let alone 30 years of experience.
Start to prepare to kick her to the curb, okay?
These people actually have been getting data from real life relationships and couples to be able to put together this book to help people develop healthier relationships. This first book I'm going to recommend will tie into the second book I recommend very well. This book is called I Love You, But I Don't Trust You. This book is about if your relationship is worth saving after a betrayal. These betrayals can be ranging from your partner gambling away your savings behind your back, them not being the person who you thought they were, and to full-on cheating on you or having an affair. And many people struggle with the question, will I ever get this trust back? If they do want to try to save this relationship. This book shows you exactly what to do to restore trust in your relationship, no matter how bad the damage was. The thing is, what she mentions in the book is that your partner needs to willingly want to be able to fix it and to heal. If your partner is being super defensive about what happened or is unwilling to take the action to change, that's a huge red flag that this relationship is over and it's not worth saving. If you are unfortunate enough to have been betrayed in a relationship, this book will help you feel a little bit better about knowing how to restore that trust. So I would definitely check this out. The second book I recommend is called How Not to Fall in Love with a Jerk by John Van Epp. This book was free on Audible, and as well that first book is free on Audible right now as well. I actually had paid for it, but now it's free, which is even better. So this book was free, and let me tell you, hands down, the best book I've ever listened to about relationships, and it is rated 5 stars. I guess nobody had the audacity to rate it anything less because this one is a life changer. I've never read a book that somebody explained how to find a healthy relationship like this one. Regardless of genders, this one is for absolutely everybody. What I forgot to mention about John is that he has his PhD and it took him 10 years to write this book, and he does a lot of counseling, and he wanted to make sure that the things that he suggested in this book was experimented with the people he's been counseling with, and that he was on the right track to finding a healthy relationship. But first, how do we spot a jerk to begin with? A jerk is somebody who is resistant to change, the utter inability to see anyone else's perspective, and a dangerous lack of emotional controls and balance. They break your boundaries, are a space invader, they date multiple people, they're unexpressive and emotionally unstable. This book will walk you through what he talks about is the 5 marital happiness predictors. I'm going to try to explain this as quick as I can. I'm sorry if this goes a little bit longer than a 10-minute video, but this is a super important topic, and not many books, like I mentioned, talk about these things. And I will break down this book eventually into a summary. I'm just trying to simplify it and re-listen to this audiobook again because there's so much information there that I want to make sure I got everything right. So the first out of the 5 falls into 3 different categories. Compatibility potential is simple, it's chemistry, but people need to remember chemistry is not everything because love is blind and chemistry is blind. So that's not everything you need to look for. The second section is complementarity. This may be a new word because I never really heard of the word complementarity put in the way that he did in this book. How he explains complementarity is to look at your partner as in, does your love interest make you a better person? Do their strengths empower or devour you? Do you feel admired and accepted because of your differences with your partner? And if you put together your differences, do they complement one another? That's why it's called complementarity. The last section is called congruence, and this means, does your partner say what they mean, and is their words in congruence with their actions? This book goes way deep into this because it's super important. A lot of people, will say these things, say how much they like you, say how much they want to do these things for you, but nothing adds up. So that is why he put those 3 things together as the first pillar. Second pillar, relationship skills, of course. And this is to look to see if you guys have similar values and lifestyles, because they can clash or they can be complementary to each other and work together, and your differences actually build you into a better couple. This is super important if you have children, or if your partner has children, or if you both have children and you're coming together. You need to realize that you're not dating as a couple anymore when one or both of you have children. You're actually dating as a family now. And when you start dating as a family, your parenting skills could both be super different, and that can be a clash. So that's something to talk about, is if you don't like the way that your partner is parenting their kids, you are probably going to be super worried that it's going to be extended to your children. So that's something to look for as well. If you are in agreement with the way that they parent and it works with you, then that's perfectly fine. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to find somebody else. Number 3 is a really important one. It's patterns from other relationships. This section is not only observing your partner's past relationships, but how they treat and talk with everyday people coming and going into their lives. If you are at a restaurant, for example, and your date blows up all of a sudden to the waitress or waiter over something that could be very minimal, you damn well know that you are easily going to be on that other receiving end at some point in that relationship. If something as small as a misstep and in your dinner order can blow up somebody like this, nothing more to say. If somebody treats everybody else like gold but treats you specifically terribly, then you need to understand that that person is not trying to benefit other people by being nice. It's only to benefit their ego at the end of the day. So aside of looking at how they treat basic people every day, is to then ask about how their past relationships were. What were common arguments? What was the reason why they broke up? Things like that. And you can see if there was a pattern in every relationship, if there were same problems, if the breakup was always the same reasons and whatnot. You will once again find yourself probably repeating that cycle with this person. Sometimes though, you may mess up once and a person will learn. But if you are seeing the patterns repeatedly in many of their relationships, then you damn well know they never learned. The fourth one is pretty simple. It's their family and background patterns. Cultural experiences and childhood beliefs of how the household was run is a major predictor of what your partner would be like as a spouse and as a parent. A lot of times, the way somebody's parents raised them might be the same way they are going to raise their children, unless they thought that their parents didn't do a good job and they can do better. Oftentimes, if you see your dad treating your mom, raising their voice, verbal abuse, you might find yourself in the same situation. And super subconsciously, you may think, okay, like I knew my dad was an asshole. He was always yelling at my mom. But the thing is, like, it's ingrained in the back of your head until you kind of heal your childhood traumas and kind of be mindful and present to realize if you are repeating those patterns, which will go into my third book suggestion after this last section. The last one is character and conscious traits. The conscious is here to monitor people's thoughts, feelings, choices, and behavior. This means that your partner should be monitoring themselves with standards, values, and personal code of conduct. Even if your partner has the capacity to, I'm quoting the book, even if your partner has the capacity to develop a conscious, doesn't mean they have a healthy and well-developed one. The last thing you need is for this person to act one way around you and then another way somewhere else. So that's it for the second book recommendation. I am going to continue to work on making a full-on summary video. It might be a little long, but it goes into way deep to how to understand these 5 marital predictors so you can make the right choices. The last book I've already made a video summary about, but I'm going to recommend it again because it is super good. And this also, all these books kind of like transfer into everything and just go hand in hand to help you have the building blocks to being in a healthier relationship. This one's called When the Past Becomes Present by David Richo. David Richo is super popular. He's known for his book called Triggers, and both of those books are also free on Audible. This book shows the connections between how we subconsciously seek out relationships that have similar patterns and dynamics to our parents or caregivers when we were in childhood. And these relationships can be as simple as acquaintances, friends, and to intimate partners. And David calls this transference. In a way, we replace people in our past, finding them in others in the present moment. We think you can play the part. If not, I can train you. Leftover of a role from my mother, father, or somebody who meant something to us. We often look at others to get our unmet needs or fix a circumstance that was never resolved in our past. In this book, you'll understand how wounds in your childhood became exposed in adult relationship, and how to use mindfulness to stay in the present moment to create authentic intimacy. This book was super interesting. It was quite long, but it did make people think about how subconsciously they are actually seeking partners that were like their unmet needs from their childhood. And David Richo is actually a psychotherapist, so sometimes you need a person who's actually qualified to write a book about relationships. So that's it. 3 relationship book recommendations that you should get on ahead to start creating and cultivating healthier relationships, healthier boundaries, and really understanding what you're seeking for in a partner. And hopefully it is the right reasons, of course. That is not to fill your egotistical needs, that you literally just want to share life with somebody. These books have really helped me make better decisions in my life, and like all the books I recommend, to expand your consciousness, to be able to live the life that we're truly meant to be, because a lot of the times we're kind of just stuck in our comfort zone, we're kind of stuck in our thoughts, our negative thoughts. And if you haven't seen my video before this about 3 self-development books, my first book recommendation is actually about how to deal with negative thoughts and how to get motivation and the confidence to live the life you actually want to live, to get out of that comfort zone. So thanks once again, and I'll see you around in my next video. Make sure that you click that bell so you know when I'm up and out here, because we subscribe to a lot of people. There's a lot of good people on YouTube, aren't I right? So sometimes you may not see these videos unless you hit that bell. Have a great day.